Hello and welcome to a very special top list of mine. I have been a huge fan of the TimeSplitters franchise for a long time, having TimeSplitters 2 being my first, then TimeSplitters 1 and lastly TimeSplitters Future Perfect. I have played through the games countless of times, and with the news that free radical design has been reborn, it has made me excited for a new installment in the franchise, or an HD trilogy. No matter what the future holds, it looks brighter now than ever before. And to celebrate the good news, why not go through some of the amazing history of arcade maps from the TimeSplitters series while listening to some clips from the legendary composer Graham Norgate for extra measure. Alright, well, let's go! Number 41, Cyberdon. On the bottom of the list is the cyborg-themed Cyberdon from TimeSplitters 1. This, as with tons of other stages from TimeSplitters 1, got this problem that they are both a story level and an arcade level. As a story level, Cyberdon is a bit bland, but it works. As an arcade league stage, not that good. It got plenty of pitfalls where you have to maze yourself around from one side to the stage, to the other side. If you fall down here and there, you have to walk all the way around. Understandably, it never got back. What I do like about it is the concept, however. A cyborg refugee with plans to take over the world above. TimeSplitters 1 was rushed because it wants to be a launch title, but I believe there are plenty of ways free radical design could go back and do the cyborg theme justice. Maybe even a map for a potential TimeSplitters 4. More than that, I believe Chasm did it better, but that's for later. Is there anything good to it? No, perhaps not on this one. Let's move on. Number 40, Spaceship. Spaceship was a huge mess. It was an interesting concept in a nice secret arcade map, however the execution was terrible. Why? Most of the map is going in a maze, which makes you feel like walking in circles. There are a few cool elements and it makes me think a bit about the Alien series, but even if it got a cool control room, a cargo area and a slime type looking road, it just does not hold up against the other maps. The Alien themes has indeed been done better. This one could be left in the past. Number 39, Bunker. Bunker from TimeSplitters Future Perfect is a mid-sized maze type of map that reminds me tons of GoldenEye. However, the gritty spy reality of it makes it boring to me. It's too dark, and unless you really enjoy playing it, you won't even bother to learn it. I still can't fully maneuver the map, and that's going to be the theme about some of the stages, as you could see. Luckily, there is enough to differentiate it, so you at least know where you are, sorta, which you could just dream of doing with Spaceship. Moving on. Number 38, Aztec. Alright, as part of the story map in TimeSplitters 2, Aztec is one of the more fun parts, but as an arcade map, it suffers the same as Cyberdon did. It's clearly a story map. The designers figured they could try to compromise into an arcade level, and a jungle theme itself is very cool. I really like what they were aiming for, but as a stage itself, it could need some work. But there are too many dead ends and closed corners that kind of kills the level's enjoyment for me. But as I said, there are parts of it that I really enjoy. The columns, golden wall, the area where you camp killing the dinosaurs. Yeah, you know which one. It's not the worst stage, but it's the worst in TimeSplitters 2 in my opinion. Number 37, Planet X from TimeSplitters 1. Now, same with Aztec, you could easily see that Planet X is a story map cut to fit into an arcade map. However, Planet X is not cut off. Why is that a problem? Well, it's too damn large. There are too many paths to choose. That will lead you here and there, but usually never crosses each other, which means enemies are everywhere, nowhere. And if you step off wrong, you just die. All the enemies on a whole different part of the map. It's just a huge open spaced mess in my opinion. However, there are elements of design that I do enjoy, like some of the caves, lightings, the stairs, and alien compound. You've got a few redeeming points, but the stage is just too crazy for a night of quick fun gaming. Number 36. VR from TimeSplitters Future Perfect. I guess this might be one of the Future Perfect stages I played the least. I can see some redemption on the design of this being like a training simulator, and for Assault this is a pretty cool stage. But outside of that, the stage does not offer much in my opinion. When I can pick this stage, or tons of other Future Perfect stages, I do not see a reason to pick this one to have fun. So, goodbye. Number 35. Tomb from TimeSplitters 1. I am surprised doing this list and this stage actually score as high as it does. This one is another one of those story maps from TimeSplitters 1, and it's cut off luckily, and not as big and crazy as Planet X. This one is actually quite small, and that can be good, and it can be bad. Problems with this one is the limited space it got with hides, rather than spaces to walk on, making 2 score this low. The Egypt theme, however, is something I'd love to see return in the TimeSplitters series. I believe whatever you do with the first stage in TimeSplitters 1 regarding story mode elements, that can be redone perfectly in a future installment. Bring back Tomb and Egypt elements, things, whatever, love that. Number 34, Mall. Alright, the concept and design of Mall is amazing. I believe Mall would have had huge potential to become very good. However, the actual Mall stage is bland, misses a lot of details on each part. Also, the aisles goes up to the roof, which makes it like walls rather than switching it up to make it unique and more fun to move around. Honestly, the best part of the stage for me is the delivery exit. That says a lot to me. Makes me think that this might have been one of the last stages added just for the sake of having a fun design, but lost in execution. Number 33, Castle. Another TimeSplitters 1 design that in reality is pretty cool, but the execution is a bit lackluster. When you look at the lighting, I keep thinking of TimeSplitters Future Perfect's Venice, but the problem with Castle is the maze parts. It's a bit too difficult to maneuver around knowing exactly which stairs goes where, but there are parts of the castle that I really love, like the Frankenstein laboratory, the tombs, and of course the roof balcony. I believe going back to Castle in a future game would be fun. Also, artwork for the prior cancelled TimeSplitters 4, it seemed like a castle theme where to make a return. I say, go for it, Free Radical. I know you can save this design. Number 32, Village from TimeSplitters 1. Now, there are parts of the mutant village that works, but there are also something that really does not work, and that kills the stage itself. Another clear example on how the story parts work, but the arcade one does not. I love the gloomy atmosphere, the back alley routes, and the few houses you can go into. Even the caves are not too bad. However, the long cliffs are so unnecessary and kills the base of the stage, and really hurts the replayability of the stage. Why is it so high then? Well, the concept is super fun and can create hectic matches. It's a concept I could see them come back to in the future. Coming in at number 31 is Robo Factory, TimeSplitters 2's TimeSplitters 1 problem. Another stage that in theory works well for the story, but is too watered down for an arcade map, and had to make cuts. Some people might enjoy the small space that you got, and you will find yourself looking up and down all the time, which is a bit of a hassle. It's decent, but nothing too spectacular in my opinion. Number 30 is Warzone. Right, honestly, it's a really forgettable stage in theory. It's the Warzone, the Call of Duty Battlefield before type of looking stages before it became mainstream, but even they begin to age now. Wow. Anywho, it's a decent map for sure, but there are too many rooms that goes nowhere. There are tons of maze parts that makes you question where the heck you are going. That's not fun. I believe the stage could come back, but it would be having some heavy reworks in that case. Not a bad stage, but there are far better options. Number 29, Bank. I was actually going to place it lower, but then I played it again recently, and it was not that bad as I remembered. Why did I think it being so bad in the first place? Well, the stage itself does not have a lot going for it. It has the outside spots, one place to climb, and the bank itself, entrance and vault. However, for an arcade map, you are either outside or going into a dead end. Give the vault another entrance/exit into the street, and this stage would have been elevated significantly. Making it at number 28 is Chasm. You might ask yourself, why on earth would Chasm score this high? It got tons of rooms that goes nowhere, it's easy to fall off the stage, and it's a maze-like stage. Well, that is so true, and I believe honestly, this is what Cyberden should have been as an arcade map. I absolutely hated Chasm growing up, and would avoid it at all costs. But growing up, I have gotten a bit of an affection for the stage. It keeps you on your toes. You got to be careful about each turn, making you actively go forward at all time. It's not perfect, hence why it is not higher, but I believe it is better than most people give it credit for. Number 27, Euphoria. As Chasm was how Cyberden should have been, this is how Spaceship should have been. It's easier to navigate, even though it's huge. It has open spaces, which makes it more fun, at least to me. And I love the orange glow going up the spiral stairs. Tons of places to fall down to, and you can even jump on board stationed UFOs. Really an enjoyable stage in and of itself, but perhaps a little bit too big and mazy for the better spot itself. Number 26 goes to Zeppelin. I know a lot of people really enjoy Zeppelin, and it is understandable, but hear me out. Let's first start with what I really enjoy about Zeppelin, and that's the top part, where you can fight on top of the blimp. And the sides with the wind propellers that float you over, and the stair part, love those. The ways into the midsection and the middle itself, and down the stair part, makes the stage too big. The radar does not tell you at what level your enemies are at, and if you are on top of the blimp and the others are in the midsection itself, it will take too long for you to go back. And when you did and killed your enemies, they spawn back up on top of the blimp. It's so annoying, and that's why I have to put Zeppelin this far down. Number 25, Spaceport from TimeSplitters Future Perfect. Another big stage in TimeSplitters Future Perfect, Spaceport, and I really enjoy this stage. Really, or at least parts of it. I can get my biggest gripe with it being a large map where you have to walk from one side of the map to the other side, being tedious. Some parts of the stage would let you get to shoot the enemies in the other part, but if you miss and they continue to run, then you have to meet them halfway, and in the end of elimination, that is quite annoying. And yeah, it's basically only elimination and virus I play, but to display these videos I play Team Deathmatch. But yeah, that's how much fun it is talking about Spaceport really. It's just super average. Let's go with that, super average. Speaking of super average, in at 24 comes perhaps the most average map in the whole series. It's Docks from TimeSplitters 1. Right, the stage itself is large, open, and somewhat fun. You got stairs to go inside the warehouses, which is alright. The containers on the outside of the dock. It's super average. I believe the stage itself is super boring looking aesthetically, but some of its layouts are good. What a weird way of feeling. I guess it's just the most average, as said, stage ever. Another size, and that's it really. Coming in at number 23, it's Hotel from TimeSplitters Future Perfect. Alright, this one is a bit too gritty for my taste. I feel like the devs took elements from both of its predecessor, Mansion and Hospital, and made something that ain't them, chief. I believe it's a bit too bland and boring. The stage structure reminds me a lot about Mansion, even got a little gloomy courtyard too. I do not get the feeling this is a hotel at all, which probably is the biggest thing in my opinion. Could have been done better in my opinion as well. I like the fact that it connects however. There are very few dead ends, if any, and that's the only part I really enjoy about the stage. Number 22 is Mansion. Speaking of hotel and mansion, here's the first one. While the mansion itself is a bit too big for my taste, there are still some great stage element in mansion itself. I like the dungeon, I think that's pretty cool. The entrance is great. Outside is also pretty cool. Kitchen, bathroom, and tons of rooms with a whole lot of nothingness, really. You can easily see that this title has inspired both Hotel and the story level Mansion of Madness from TimeSplitters Future Perfect. I believe the stage itself is better than Hotel, but that's just about it. I believe there is another zombie location that's done a bit better, but we will talk about that later. Coming in on 21, you could hear that by the melody. It's Chemical Plant from TimeSplitters 1, another TS1 story map, but at least one that sort of works in arcade as well. What I do enjoy about it is the openness, but also buildings to enter. You got to look a bit up and down here, and there is with Chasm and the Robot Factory. But here there are a lot more open ground than those two combined, which helps the stage being more welcoming and fun in my opinion. Finally, we're in the top 20, and number 20 is Nightclub from TimeSplitters 2. Talking about stages that are opening and welcoming, well, Nightclub is not one of those. There are so many closed ways to walk. I do enjoy the staircase leading to the opening of the nightclub itself. I do enjoy the outside area for Virus, if you'd like. Outside of that, I feel the stage is not very organized and chaotic. Some dead ends, but mostly just hectic and chaotic. However, the theme and the big place it got makes it worth the rank. Number 19, Training Ground from TimeSplitters 2 and TimeSplitters Future Perfect. Another popular stage going a bit low, and I got my reason. Now, what I do enjoy about the stage itself is the openness on the right side of the grounds. However, my gripe here is the same with Zeppelin. If there are no one left on this one side, you got to go, past the waterfall and up, the hill to take out the enemies, and then they spawn on the other side again. That ain't fun, Chief. The stage could benefit by having a cave going from one side to the other, even have it like a cliff, so it's like you can only access it by one side to get to the other. At least that would be less tedious, really. And it would help a lot with the facing of this stage and significantly boost it up. But that's not the case, and this is more suited for a fun assault match. It's a good stage, but it could have been better. Number 18, Spaceways from TimeSplitters 1. Now, I both love and find it kind of sad which potential Spaceway as an arcade map could have been. Just like with Training Grounds, I believe you could have added the entrance with a roundabout and the place with a big open spot coming through the entrance. However, if we could cut the long corridors leading into where the actual map is, then the stage would have been big, but not too much, and tons of good spaces to fight on. However, on the actual map, I like the openness and the same of itself. And as I said, however, if you're not in the center of the stage, then you are on your way to two dead ends. So it's a bit of what you want it to be, really, what you prefer. Anyways, moving on. Number 17, Graveyard from TimeSplitters 1. I think Graveyard in and of itself has tons of potential, and I think it's a bit sad it never returned. The area itself by design is good, and I enjoy the little chapel you can enter. There is an underground path that can be a bit of a mazy, but outside of that, a really good stage itself. There are a bit of weird routes that does drag it a bit down. But outside of that, oh yeah, good. Coming in number 16 is Venice. I really loved Venice when I first started to play TimeSplitters Future Perfect, and I love the Easter egg of a boat coming up in a certain game modes exposing secret locations. I feel the stage suffers a bit from being so dark, but with modern technology I think it could be dark, while also easily to navigate through. I like that all paths lead to another path, with 2 exceptions, and those are where the boat starts and ends. Good theme, would love to see it more explored in the future installments. This type of vintage, Victorian, things like this, brilliant. TS4, let's go. Number 15 is Streets. While the stage itself is a bit bland in terms of design, I still enjoy it. We do not really have that many street types of stages, and with a touch of snow made me truly love the stage. Oh, and by the way, the music, amazing. It got a great space on the streets themselves, but also some rooms and indoors activities going on, understandably why it came back in the sequel, but sadly not returned in the 3rd game. Number 14 is Vietnam. Again, with Streets, while the design itself is a bit bland, it's still a stage concept that we need to round out the other specific themed maps. This is the war zone of TimeSplitters Future Perfect, but with tons of more open spaces, which is something I truly liked. I had come to enjoy the stage much more than when I first played the game for sure. It's a bit gritty when it comes to the aesthetics and how it looks, but the open spaces and the parts really makes up for it to make it a great stage to blast on. Number 13, Disco. Here comes another fan favourite, and of course you can stay to hear me out, and you could comment that you disagree, which is also good. You show your opinion while also give the algorithm activity, and we show the video to more people, becoming win-win. But you can also agree, that's fine too. Okay, with that out of the way, Disco is one of those small maps that you have to be on your toes at all times. You do not have time to relax or pause. There are so many ways that connect with each other, and when they are not there, it's just open spaces everywhere where you can easily see the enemy and open fire. The Disco is always on fire, to say the least. And that's both a good thing and not a good thing, depending on what game mode you play. I believe there are better small maps than Disco, but 13 out of 41 is not bad. Number 12 is Circus. Now, I really love Circus as a theme, not just the music, but the theme in itself. I believe the size of the circus is pretty good, even though I believe there are some, entrances to some of the tents, like the merry-go-round and the show itself, that is a bit, not mazy, but it's, small. I think it would benefit having more details on a few of the places, like the bazaar area. Would have been nice. Also, the show itself is a brilliant concept. I think they could do so much with Circus if they rework it for a future TimeSplitters series. But the stage itself and maps, brilliant. Get more details, get it back. Circus deserves to come back. Number 11, Mars Prison from TimeSplitters Future Perfect. Mars Prison is the perfect example of where to cut off your stages from extensions. While it's not a story map, it's still got an assault extension, which is cool in and of itself. But I do enjoy the layout of Mars Prison. It got its open spaces and some inside parts that I do not think too much of, but I think it's well balanced. I think it's a really fun map to play at when it comes to TimeSplitters Future Perfect. And I think it could have been done more with, but it's pretty balanced, really. Number 10 is Ice Station from TimeSplitters 2, a huge stage with a very open field to get most out of the action. Of course, Ice Station would score high. It got one big building with 3 stories in the middle of the map, 2 small houses and a space heliport dock thing. And to top it all off, there are also some underground places that connect 3 parts of the stage with each other. The only problem I have at Ice Station is the hills making the openness a bit blurry, so your view is not always the best. Also, while the underground parts exist, it's really not where you would like to be. Number 9, Temple from TimeSplitters Future Perfect. Now, this is how Aztec could have been, but luckily Free Radical Design brought back the Indiana Jones type of vibe with Temple. And while there are some parts of it that could be a bit boring, like the section from this part going into a whole dead end, However, the other parts of the stage connects, and I really enjoy it. This part, as mentioned before, is my favourite part of it. Brings a great free-for-all stage. I believe that where tempo shines, it really shines. But where it lacks, it's just average. But top 10, great. Coming in on number 8 is the one and only Chinese. This stage is the only stage that has been present in all of 3 installments. Chinese is iconic and a staple. The design is good and it got mostly connective parts, which of course they improved on in the 3rd installment. There are very few dead ends, and the worst dead end itself was fixed, as said, making the stage just iconic and very fun to play. If you like hectic, on your toes action that you have to walk around at all times, this is a great one to go by. It's nothing more to say really. It lacks a bit of open spaces, that's my personal opinion. That's why I rank it as 8, but it's definitely top 10 because it's one of the best stage, without a doubt. The ones coming here is top notch, that's all I have to say. At spot number 7 comes Compound. Now this might just be the best of the small maps in my opinion. There are the buildings with 3 rooms, but it's not so off-road that it feels dead ends. Luckily, on the outside you have plenty of space to maneuver, while you can also hide around the containers. A really good track for fast-paced shooting. It also returned in TimeSplitters 2. Spot number 6 goes to Sight, which were in both TimeSplitters 1 and TimeSplitters 2. Sight might be a surprise for a few people, but as said, it did return for 2 games, and it should have been in TimeSplitters Future Perfect as well in my opinion. While you have the side part in and of itself, it does offer great open spaces for great action shooting. You also got the small staircase with power-ups and a circle-like pattern through the sewage systems, which can create some cat and mouse scenarios. It's a really enjoyable map, but it was probably a bit difficult to obtain in TimeSplitters 2, making it very obscure, and most people actually have just played it in TimeSplitters 1. Is that crazy? Bring it back. Number 5 goes to Hangar. What I really enjoy about Hangar is not just a huge open part of the hangar itself, but the 2 other sections as well. One with containers and one with a second level and a mechanical lift thing. It's a great to maneuver it around, and it's not too big that it becomes tedious. Luckily, it's a great balance. Also, it gives me a lot of the GoldenEye vibes of it, so that also is a plus. Number 4 is Subway. Speaking of sizes that are not too tedious, Subway is the perfect sized map. An access point with 0 to none dead ends. It's a circle with more, and that's something I enjoy. Also, you can pull the lever to make 2 subway trains coming across the midsection. Also a fun thing is how Subway got some announcement calls, which was first introduced in Spaceways. That was a fun portion that came back in another game. As you can see, radical design, free radical design, they bring back some of the elements and inspirations from earlier works, and that is to be appreciated. On number 3 is Siberia. The best part about Siberia in TimeSplitters Future Perfect is its openness. It's the perfect stage to use sniping and for practicing. I also love just running around with flare guns, it's just such fun. Also, there is a car in there, but if you're dumb enough to go for it, just know that you can't shoot from there, and it's easier for us to snipe you than it is for you to run us over. Large, but not inconvenient. Brilliant. In number 2, Hospital. Here it comes, the greatest zombie type of level in my opinion. The design structure is really great constructed. The only dead end got a high risk, high reward part as well if you play something like Virus going into the toilet / shower room. This is the best stage playing Virus on in my opinion. Also the balcony part, everyone loves to camp there as well, has a great part for it. Without a doubt, one of the best stages in general, hence second place. Finally, and coming on number 1, it's Mexican Mission. You have all been waiting for it, and here it finally is. Mexican Mission is the best TimeSplitters map in my opinion. The size is right, the structure is great, a perfect blend of openness and inside sections, no dead ends, works with the most modes. It's just a brilliant construct of a stage. Very beginner friendly, very party friendly, it's just a great time, really. So, and I believe it's quite iconic as well, coming back to TimeSplitters Future Perfect. Number 0, Scrapyard. Hello everyone, here comes the god of stages. Oh, that one I forgot about. Yeah, Scrapyard. I remember that I forgot Scrapyard when I was editing this and came up to top 5. So instead of redo all the voice lines and do everything again, I figured, you know what, I'll cheat a little bit right now and go for Scrapyard as number 0, God status. Right, Scrapyard is an amazing stage with open areas and containers. Its cutoff from the assault part is good and making it a small, balanced map. I truly treasure Scrapyard and would place it around top 10 for sure. Had I not somehow forgot about it during planning. I feel like I did write it at some point, but going through the list there were nothing found with Scrapyard, as I said, so God status it is, yeah. And that's my top 41 or 42, depending on how interesting you found my mistake. But I cannot wait to see what a new TimeSplitters game would look like, hoping for some of these to return, but also for some new themes to come up. What are your favourite TimeSplitters maps? Do you agree? Do you disagree with my list? Comment in the comment section below. And I'll see you in the future, Splitters.